Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic. You know, the stupidity of some people just never ceases to amaze me.
Are you talking about one of the two super funny things I read today?
Yeah, it just never ceases to amaze me how stupid some people can be.
Do you want me to share this with our audience? Like read it?
I think you should.
All 5 paragraphs?
So that they get it.
The Food and Drug Administration has a warning for people. One the agency probably did not expect to need to make. Do not cook chicken in NyQuil. A new social media challenge, we all know it's TikTok, I don't know why they beat around the bush, is encouraging young people to cook poultry in the basic ingredients of NyQuil and other over-the-counter cough products. This trend is dangerous even if you don't eat the chicken. The FDA says boiling medication can change its properties, making it more concentrated, and just breathing it in can damage your lungs.
Yeah.
This is not the only dangerous challenge involving over-the-counter medication. The FDA says teens have died during the Benadryl challenge, which includes taking a lot of the medication to hallucinate. Holy Toledo, I've taken the appropriate dose of Benadryl and had some pretty strange demons visit.
You know,
I can only imagine.
Is that the end of the article?
Yeah.
Okay, because it bothers me. Here's what bothers me. You know what the response would be today?
What?
Certain party that's in power right now would decide that it needed to do something about that injustice.
Injustice? It's an injustice that, sorry if your kid is one of the people doing this, it's an injustice that fucking morons are too fucking stupid to know they shouldn't boil cough syrup.
That's the point. Seriously? They would want to jump in and protect them from that. And you know how they would do it? By banning and making the social media platform responsible for any deaths that happen as a result of it. So that therefore the social media platform would censor and ban it because that's how they operate.
First off, TikTok allowing this content on their platform is pretty sus in the first place. I do think so. I think TikTok needs to give their head a shake about some of the shit they allow on their platform. But I don't think anybody should be mandating them to remove it.
But why should they care?
Because if they don't want all of their users to be 6 feet under, they should probably care. They've banned other challenges. They banned the challenge where people were vandalizing bathrooms. They banned some other thing. I can't remember.
Well, but okay, now you've changed the discussion. You said before that they don't ban these things and that they let them on their platform.
Well, they're letting this one on.
But now you're saying that they have banned things in the past.
In the past.
So then they're inconsistent and they should be banning this too. Correct. But what I was getting at was if they'd never banned anything, why force them to ban this?
I don't think anybody should force them to ban this at all.
But I do think that if they've already expressed concern about things that are probably less worthy of concern, then this needs to show some concern.
Put it this way. If you and I were the board of directors and owners of TikTok, this challenge would be being banned from our platform.
That says a lot. That says a lot.
I think so too. But you know what? If the government were to come to us and be like, yo, these children, they need to be protected. I'd be like, well, my version of protecting them is to not allow children to use my platform anymore. Because I'm not responsible for their fucking dumbassery.
Yeah.
That's how that would go.
But should you be responsible as the platform if a 10-year-old lies and says they're 15 and so they're allowed on the platform?
No, their parents should be responsible for that.
Exactly. That's the thing that bugs me is that so many people on the left think that the platform should be responsible, because how come they don't have technology in place to stop that? Sure, they're supposed to use ID me for every freaking person that signs up. Do you know how expensive that would be? It would cost them hundreds of dollars.
This whole thing is a problem because parents have raised idiots. I'm sorry, but if your child is so dumb that they're going to lemming after some other dumbass moron cooking chicken in fucking NyQuil,
let me ask you.
Failed.
Well, let me ask you this: you've been through two of my children's more formative years, where they had to make big decisions. Did either one of them seem to you like the type who would fall for something like this?
No. Matter of fact, I texted one of your offspring today, and I was like, "Bruh, NyQuil chicken."
Yeah, it's how to put it? It's insane, is what it is.
It's absolute insanity.
Yeah, it's cray. And that, though, is like, it's such a look at society. It's such a microcosm of society, because there's so many people, and I'm just going to put it this way because it is kind of offensive. So many people come off looking stupid because they don't check into things. They trust somebody, and so whatever that somebody says about a topic, they're with them. If that somebody is against it, they're against it. If they're for it, they're for it. They do whatever the somebody is that they're following.
Right.
They do what they want. And unfortunately, when you do that, you're going to be faced with somebody who's going to show down with you, who actually knows, the answer to the questions being asked. And not just some person throwing random BS word salad at you, like some people we know in places of authority. So, don't forget that we invested money in a community bank system because it's part of the community, so it knows what the community needs and what the community wants because they're in the community. Did you not know that? Like that's an actual speech from our vice president right there. So, but you said that you read two funny things. That was only one funny thing. So I want to know what was the second funny thing, and I also want to know why you made it second. Is it funnier than the first funny thing?
Oh, in my personal opinion, it is funnier and way less rant-worthy than the first thing.
Interesting. Okay. I like it.
The first thing, I didn't expect it to infuriate me so much after we started talking about it. But it did. I got a big salty.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, this one. My landlord has this rule that if you are moving out, he will start showing the apartment in the 3 months before move-out. The lease didn't say anything about whether I had to leave during these showings, just that he needed to give 24 hours notice and I couldn't decline a showing. He keeps showing the apartment and it seems like nobody wants it because it's expensive. He's trying to raise the rent. A lot, which is why I'm leaving. And shitty. It's a studio apartment, it's dark and gross, there are pipes burst a few years ago before I moved in, and there are still water stains everywhere and nasty bent ceiling tiles. He's using very old photos on the listing so people will see something that looks nice and then show up and see it's really nasty. At first, I was trying to be considerate and leave or step out during showings, but after so many, I got sick of being interrupted and having to move plans around with only a day notice because my landlord can't be honest with his listings and use a reasonable price. I told him how annoyed I was and how he should just put up honest photos and honest rent, and he got pissy with me and told me, don't tell me how to run my business. So last Friday, when I had off work and I was hoping to sleep in, he said he'd be coming by quote-unquote in the morning. And I went to sleep with those foam safety earplugs in, with a pair of noise-canceling headphones over top and a pillow over my head. I slept without being woken and then saw some text from my landlord asking if I remembered he had a showing. I texted back and said, yeah, when are you coming by? And he said they'd come by and it was uncomfortable for them to be touring the apartment next to me sleeping. I said, oh wow, I must have been out cold. Work has been crazy. Then on Sunday, I had plans to have friends over. I told them my landlord might come by, but just ignore him. We were hanging out drinking and he came by with a family. It was awkward since the studio apartment was pretty full already, and he asked me if I had gotten his text about a showing. I said I hadn't seen it. I'd had a double shift at work and must have missed it. Work has been crazy. He asked us to step outside and wait in the hall, and I said I didn't want to disturb the neighbors who work nights, so he showed the apartment with us in it. Anyway, I've decided not to schedule around him anymore unless he stops trying to bait and switch people, because it's a pain in the ass to be woken up early, to have plans on my days off interrupted, all with just a day's notice. If he wants to be showing the apartment with someone still living there, people are going to see that. I also decided not to be direct with what I'm doing. He got mad when I tried to be direct. I'll just be saying shit like, nah, I must have missed that. My job doesn't let me have my phone while I'm on shift or whatever. Am I the asshole for not leaving my apartment when my landlord shows it?
I don't remember what he said the lease says about when the landlord says, hey, I'm going to show the place. I know it said the landlord has to give him 24 hours notice.
And it didn't
specify stipulate whether he had to stay or go, right?
Correct.
Okay, well then that clears it right there. Then no, he's not the asshole, because he gets to do what he wants to do and nobody can force him to do otherwise. I mean, if he'd agreed to leave in writing in the lease,
right,
and he just was missing it
because
asshole. It was fine print, then he's an asshole. But once that stipulation is taken away, he can do whatever he wants.
Right.
He's a free man. Go for it. I mean, that's an easy one. But let me guess, people disagree.
I have no idea, because I didn't actually read it on Reddit. It was part of a compilation article. Which I get a lot of ones about landlords because of what I do.
This is true. So tell me, what do you think?
I don't think he's an asshole at all, but I do think he should document all of the uncomfortable circumstances that he creates through his lack of leaving, because I think it would be friggin' hilarious.
I agree. It would make at least a funny YouTube video, if nothing else. I mean, it could be like a
series of funny YouTube videos.
It could be a sitcom. I mean,
right.
You never know. Like, that's just kind of funny. I mean, and you're right. These situations, he could even make it like, oh my God, I was so uncomfortable. But he made it uncomfortable by staying there.
Right.
But at the same time, the landlord's making it uncomfortable by demanding that I'm coming tomorrow morning. That's not 24 hours notice.
Right.
24 hours literally means if it's 1 p.m. now, you can't come in until 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, one of the properties that we used to manage in New York was, the landlord was like this. And they would insist that they would give us 24 hours notice, but they would show it regardless. And whether we had guests or not, didn't matter. They're showing it. The people who were the guests, first off, so pissed. All the time. So pissed. Reasonably so.
Of course.
You're staying in an Airbnb. You don't want some, like, slumlord creeping through with his new slumlord tenants. Not at all.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't give 24 hours notice. He'd be like, I'm coming by in an hour. And I'd be like, unfortunately, you are not coming by in an hour. Just ridiculous. It must be like a New York thing. Also, this person didn't specify if they were male or female. I think it would be even funnier if they were female.
Oh, I agree with you on that,
Can
too.
you imagine?
I hadn't thought about
baking
that, but I agree
cookies
with you.
in, like, a nightie when the landlord and his potential tenants walk in? Yeah. Laying on the couch, watching, Mr. Olympia show.
How about just walking around in a thong? How about just walking around in a thong with a bikini top on?
Right.
You know, I mean,
like it could
you
get
want to make
it
it so
weird.
you can make it really uncomfortable.
Or wait until you hear the landlord's key in the lock and then get in the shower.
Oh shit! There's so many funny things that could happen, and that's the landlord's fault though. They're abusing their authority.
100%.
They're beating on you because they have some power, and that's just wrong. And thankfully, there's people like that who push back.
It's the only way that a landlord like that is going to learn their lesson is if people push back. But yes, those are my two. In the amount of free time I had today, those are the two funny things I encountered.
That's kind of rad. I mean, they both say the same thing in a sense. You know, people are stupid. And that's, what I was getting at earlier was I think that people come off as stupid because they follow blindly other people. That's really it. Bottom line, that's the TLDR. People come off as stupid because they blindly follow other people. That's terrible. You shouldn't blindly follow anyone ever. Never, ever, ever blindly follow people. Do we understand each other?
Yes. You know what else? I feel like we need to start removing the warning labels from things. Like shampoo. Do not rub in eyeballs. Well, if you're dumb enough to squirt, especially that tea tree shampoo, that sumbitch burns.
Yes.
If you're dumb enough to
It
be
burns
like,
when you don't put it in your eyes.
squirt, squirt, rub, 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 well, then you deserve to be blind.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of natural selection at its best.
My favorite warning label, sorry guys, this is a little gross, is actually the warning label on a curling iron that says do not insert into any orifice.
Yeah. Well,
If you are so dumb that you stick a hot curling iron into your rectum, you deserve all of the burns.
well, but you saw, like, I told you what happens. You know, the moms of these guys that are committing these crimes, they get more upset about the police arresting their kid, who's trying to get away, by the way, and wrestling with the police.
Right.
While the mom is screaming, he didn't do anything wrong. Well, first of all, as I've said before in related circumstances that I actually experienced, you don't find the police coming to your house to look for your exact child unless they've had other encounters
Right.
with your exact child. I mean,
Right.
that's just a fact. It's not like they just got lucky and stumbled upon your kid and were like, "Wait, he matches the description
Right.
exactly." No, they knew as soon as they heard it. Oh, that's, Joe Jones over here. Let me go grab him.
Right.
And then what does Joe Jones do as soon as he sees the police? Tries to run. Well, I don't know why you're running, Joe. I mean,
I'm pretty sure Joe Jones did the thing.
yeah, it's like it kind of starts to add up after a while. But no, the mom has to be like, she even witnesses all that and still has to be like, he didn't do anything wrong. Why are you arresting him?
Right?
Hello? There's a reason why you watched part of it play out in front of you. You lunatic. And like that's the thing. People are lunatics. And I've kind of modified my thing of saying people are stupid to just saying people are lunatics. Because I'm not so sure they're stupid. I think a lot of them are fully aware of what they're doing. And they're making a conscious choice. And you know what's really sad about that?
What?
I think that's dumber than a stupid person making that choice. Because you're making that choice with your eyes wide open, fully cognizant of what you're picking. And yet it's probably the worst choice you could possibly ever make.
Your offspring agrees with me that we should remove the warning labels and let natural selection take its course.
The male offspring or the female offspring?
The male offspring.
That's what I figured.
I have not talked to the female offspring yet. She's next on my list, though.
What do you do? Cycle your communication through?
I can't maintain more than one conversation at a time and still pay attention to like what's going on. So I have the conversation with one and then I have the conversation with the other.
Whatever works.
Yeah. It makes me exponentially less likely to completely miss a text message from one or the other of them and then just like abruptly end the conversation in the middle by accident.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Because, I mean, that's happened to me where I've had like both of them going at the same time.
Yeah. Especially if you're talking about the same thing.
Well,
It
yeah.
gets really confusing.
Yeah, and you don't know who said what.
Right.
And, you have to keep everything sorted out. But anyway, I think it's interesting that you found two things that were actually funny, but they're also sort of sad. I mean,
They're both funny and
that's
upset.
how I look at it. It's sort of
Well,
sad.
the landlord thing's not sad. I mean, sadistic son of a bitch landlord has been a thing since the dawn of time.
I think the part that's sad is that the person feels like they have to make it as awkward as possible in order to control the landlord. That's the part that's sad. The landlord has no, courtesy towards the tenant. And that's just so wrong. And yet here's the landlord going to moan and groan about the tenant doing what the tenant's doing.
Right.
The tenant's doing what it has to survive.
Right.
Literally, that's how I see it. It's insanity. On high, man. Just, I don't get that. But,
I think taking the dog to the park twice today broke her. She's so tired.
that's good, though. That's what we want. We want her not to be so hyper.
She says she wants us to stop talking and go to bed.
She
though.
likes the zoo the way it is now. She sits and looks at the Mandysaurus all the time.
Mandosaurus erectus.
She loves her. She loves her. And I showed you that the pretty girl discovered her today.
Yeah.
But she just sat there and looked for a while. And she was like, it's like a bird. Bye. She peaced out, you know. Didn't even. Olive sat there and watched a bit today, too.
They like her.
The only one who hasn't, stared her down is Parker.
That's because he's too stupid to know what's going on.
Yeah, he's like, what? There's something up there? What? Oh, where? Oh, over there? Oh.
When we get the Mandosaurus her harness and leash, and we can let her run around the house with her harness and leash on so that she doesn't get lost, then Parker will meet her.
You can't let her get near a cat.
I didn't think so. But Parker will discover her because he'll sit behind whatever barricades we put up and watch.
Yeah, but no coming cats. No. Cat, lizard. I don't. And people, I don't want to hear from you about that. She doesn't know that. This is her first ever lizard.
I wasn't going to let them sit next to each other.
Well, that's how you made it sound. That's how you made it sound, and people are going to, complain about it because people have to find anything to complain about. That's just how society is. If you were going to complain about that,
pull your heads directly out of your ass.
Yes, I'm with her. So with that,
good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.